So my thought process is always, first of all, I always give high praise for paying attention, like wanting to learn more,
Mm-hmm.
wanting, being curious about what's out there and what can work for. I'm like, good on you because you're gaining awareness, you're becoming involved in your process, and that's always to be celebrated. And the moment that you celebrate that too, you immediately bring down their guard
Mm-hmm.
because it's not you're not fighting them off the gate, like, oh my god, why are you reading, what that dumb lady's saying or whatever. Nothing like that. There's no resistance on your part, so they immediately feel heard.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
Snacks. He's got 10 gallons of snacks in a paper bag.
It's a Costco bag of almonds that I just throw in a couple containers of raisins in and just shake that bad boy up. Bring it with me.
I'm enjoying it, Jonathan. But the good Reverend Jesse Jackson, international civil rights leader, if you want to say that. I've got my own things about that. Ooh, Jonathan's got a green screen. Oh, that's his desk. But he graduated from the same college that I went to, a small college in North Carolina called North Carolina A&T State University. And you guys might not know this for the listeners out there who aren't familiar with Reverend Jesse Jackson, but he marched with Dr. King back in the day, one of Dr. Martin Luther King's good friends back in the day. But he's a minister. That's why they call him Reverend Jesse Jackson. And every year at our college homecoming, he would come and he would run a lap around the track because Jesse Jackson was a very gifted football player back in his collegiate days. But he would also raise money for things that were going on at the school, and he would literally do this during the football game. Like seriously, he had like a megaphone or sometimes a mic and like some type of crony with a portable speaker. And you guys may not have had the black church experience before. It's okay. I'm here to share it with you as a preacher's son. But they're very clever in asking for money. So this is what he would say. He was like, "How many of you in the stands today love North Carolina A&T State University?" And we'd all raise our hand. And he'd say, "Now take that same hand and go deep in your pocket. We need donations today." Like, it's very slick, very clever way. Like, get you excited and once you imbeciles fall for this, I'm going to ask you to and do like literally. They would have like a big sheet down on the track, like a bedding sheet, like down on the track, spread out like the super fun parachute that we used to have in elementary school in the United States. And people would throw like they ball up there and throw it down. I'm not making this up.
What?
If they're
Now let me tell you a story that is very opposite to what you're talking about, which is how they raise money at a Mexican baseball game.
Oh gosh.
So this past Sunday, I went to see a baseball game here in Sayulita, and it's the Mexican Winter Leagues, which is it's pretty decent baseball. I mean, Mexicans are good at baseball, and this is the Winter League. So I mean, these guys aren't going to be major league players, but it's pretty good baseball. And so I went to see the game. And here's how they raise money. Okay? Basically the exact opposite. There's one dude walking around the stands with a notebook, and it's the kind of notebook you get from like a dollar store, the like Helix or whatever it is, right? And he has a page that has the numbers written 1 to 30 on it, with a space for one name on each one, and he walks around with the notebook up high, and people wave him down and say what number they want. So they're like, okay, I want 17. And then they throw 20 pesos at him. So like literally like throw 2 like 10 peso coins, or like pass down a 20 peso bill or whatever, which is about $1 US for anybody who doesn't know. And then at a number of times throughout the game, there's no rhyme or reason to it. This isn't like an in-between inning type thing. This is like whenever the guy decides to, or whenever he fills up his page, maybe, he has one of those spinning wheels like you'd see at a casino. And he's right in the middle,
Wheel of
literally
Fortune.
like the backstop where the back catcher is, he's just on the other side of that so everybody can see him. Even though the game's going on, he spins the wheel, takes 2 steps back approximately, and has a dart. And he throws the dart at the wheel. And most of the time, the dart just flies off into the stands because it doesn't actually stick onto the wheel. But every so often, give or take once every 3 or 4 throws, the dart sticks on the board, and that's the number that won. And if your number gets called, you win a 6-pack of beer.
That's how we say. We're high rollers.
This is how they.
It's the most elaborately inefficient method of making money I've ever heard.
So this is how you make money at a Mexican baseball game.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it sounds almost like Wheel of Fortune, except it's Mexico, so it's more like Wheel of Not Doom.
Right. Well, so the other thing the other way that they raise money in Mexico is the Mexican fairground game, which is like legitimately the best thing ever. And this is something that we got to bring back to Canada and the United States.
Yeah,
although I feel like the Canadian
fun.
States, it might be too dangerous here. So at the fairs, what they do is, again, everything's centered around beer. So basically, there's a pile of rocks, literally like picture a kiosk at a fair with like carnies and stuff like that, right? So you've got a pile of rocks on the thing, and not like small rocks. Like you can see underneath me. These are
do you have
like
a rock
pebbles.
with you? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's all rocks here. So like these are pebbles, like maybe 6 or 7 times the size of this, like baseball sized rocks.
Okay.
Right? And then the backdrop is tin, so it's really, really loud. And then there's a whole bunch of beer bottles stuck, and the game is 50 pesos, and you get to throw 3 rocks at beer bottles. And glass is flying all over the place. It is unbelievably loud because there's like 10 of these games going on at once beside each other, right? And they purposefully put tin at the back because when you chuck a soft hardball sized rock at a beer bottle which has a sheet of tin behind it, it's really freaking loud.
We've essentially been training for this game our entire lives.
Right. And so if you break 1 beer bottle, you get a beer. If you break 2 beer bottles, you get 2 beers. And if you break 3 beer bottles, you get a 6-pack.
Wow.
I like how all the games lead to beer drinking.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like the ultimate prize in all these games is you get now. I would estimate that people are probably the winners of these games. I don't feel like they were not drinking before playing the game. I feel like there's more drink. Yeah,
they warmed up to get to get there.
For the
more drinking.
For the amount of people that were at this baseball game and the amount of beer that was drank, it was uncanny. Like, sports in North America now, I mean soccer in Europe, they don't have drinking at all because it's too dangerous. Sports in North America, generally, they cut off the drinking at a certain point. Like in Toronto, after the 7th inning, they don't serve alcohol because it gets too violent. Here, it's like, we got to sell as much as possible. Let's just go to town.
This is what keeps the town running, man. I don't know how to explain this to you.
So they have, at the front there where this dartboard is, there's this massive cooler of ice. And then there's just this stack of cases of 24 beers. And it's one guy's job to just keep moving beers into the cooler as the beers get sold. And this is just going on the entire game. And I was like, there's no way. I mean, there's maybe like 200 people at this game, right? Like, there wasn't like a lot. I'm like, this stack is like to the ceiling. There's no way that these beers are going to get. That's like 5 beers a person at this game. And lo and behold, the end of the game, man, there were not many beers left. Like, that stack was gone.
I gotta say, my favorite part of growing up Mexican is that absolutely every single one of our traditional games has a hint of violence. Like, just a little bit of like aggressiveness, like just a little bit of danger, a little bit of like, is somebody gonna die today? There's a chance.
Oh man,
there's a chance.
The
piñata beating. I can't tell you how many kids I witnessed getting whacked in the head with a piñata stick.
Oh yeah,
always fun. I don't know, like highly recommended.
We made
you guys
piñatas
have like
a couple weeks ago.
waivers and liability and all that crap. Don't worry about that. It's like, you know what? You know, it's Darwin's law. You know, the law of the jungle. The fitter makes it.
You get legitimately laughed at here if you're like, oh, I'm gonna go, I don't know, I'm gonna go canyoning, or I'm gonna go like do something like pretty dangerous. I'm gonna go, what's it called when you're like hanging and
Rappelling.
you're hanging by, yeah, you're like rappelling or whatever it is. Like, oh, has this been checked? And they're like,
Yeah, like, who checks the standards of safety? I don't know. Right?
Man.
It's Russian roulette with your life every time you partake in
it is. I don't think I told you guys. I saw a guy machete his face a couple weeks ago.
No,
oh
thank
my
you.
gosh.
That was pretty legit.
I'm gonna
He was
hold off.
climbing a tree. He was climbing a tree, cutting down coconuts, and the thing ricocheted off the tree and hit him in the face.
Oh.
Fortunately, we had a first aid kit, so we had to we went
You
and helped him out. But
Oh, good.
No
I
me
mean,
gusta.
No.
if
no
if
bueno.
chicks dicks goes, this dude is going to be popular. Moving forward. Like,
Oh my God!
Oh,
It's
gosh.
a fourth Catalina Belmonte's book, "Growing Up Mexican: A Subtle Hint of Violence." She's
Wait until I post about our Easter tradition with my kids. We still do it. We smash like eggshells in each other's head because again, that's the Mexican way. That's how we celebrate Easter, and it's so freaking fun.
Fantastic.
It really is. We love it.
it's amazing. The more time Jonathan spends in Mexico, the more I understand Catalina. It's like the two things are symbiotic. Like every story he tells about Mexico, the more I feel like the closer I get to Catalina. She just, I feel like I know all her inner workings now. You just make so much more sense to me. Keto, I see you, my friend.
Yeah.
I see you through the lens of Jonathan Goodman. Amber's got stuff. Now, what's in your background, Amber? I don't recall seeing this. Is this a door? Oh, this is your whiteboard. Okay.
it's a whiteboard. Look at that.
Okay. This is your. Is this new? Is this a new background that you're in front of?
Look at all those mocos. It's like two
She's got
packages.
a lot of markers. She got a lot of markers back there.
Back in the day when we used to collect gel pens and like girls had like every color plus metallic plus pastel, I carried that into adulthood, but with markers
Okay.
for my
You're
whiteboard.
you're that girl.
I am that girl, Lisa Frank, all the way.
All right. Okay.
Loved Lisa Frank.
Right?
I have no idea what
Yes.
that means. I
All
don't
the
know.
glitter, give me all the unicorns, all the rainbows, all the things.
What
Yes.
does that? What does that even mean? It's Women's History
You
Month.
need to
Google it after.
okay? All of our listeners who were women or who like that kind of like more, I guess, quote unquote, feminine kind of thing back in the 80s and early 90s know exactly what we're talking about.
They know
Lisa
what
Frank was the rage, all the rage.
If you say so. Speaking of, there's a Judy Blume movie that's being shot in North Carolina later this year. Yeah. Are you there,
Margaret?
God? It's me, Margaret.
Read all of her books growing up.
So fun fact, this will be something that Jonathan won't resonate at all, but that's okay. He's busy doing
I don't know
stuff.
who Judy Blume is. Yeah,
That's all right, Jonathan. Just be still. Be still. Just sit. As my mother would say, sir, just get somewhere and be still.
Should I mute my mic while you're doing this?
No, you don't have to mute your mic. You might
I don't even know what
gasp.
the topic is yet today. Do we know?
Well, don't worry about that, Jonathan. You should go along for the ride like usual.
Hold on, I got an email.
What? Who interrupts a podcast for an email? What are you even talking? In any case, so I grew up in a house full of women, right? And sort of like my best friend, quote unquote, that I spent the most time with, a family member, my cousin. Her name is Casey. Shout out to Casey. She married a Stacy, so she's Casey Stacy now, and I tease her about that incessantly. I never say her first name without the last. But in any case, so I spent a lot of time with Casey. I was in the house with my mom. I was in the house with my older sister. I was in the house with my grandmother. And I didn't know until probably high school age that Judy Blume books were technically written for a women's perspective. Had no idea because my family members and there was so much literature in the house. Also for the African Americans out there, Essence magazine. I didn't know that was a primarily African American women-centered magazine. I get to college, I got Essence magazine in my trunk. He's like, what you doing reading Essence? I was like, I love to check in, with the culture, and it's Black Pride, and I'm happy to be an African. They're like, yeah, that's for women, man. Didn't know that. So I'm keen on Judy Blume. You know, who knew that later in life this skill set would serve me as I ended up working with primarily with, and here I am. Here I am.
Amazing.
Yes,
Everything builds you to who you are
yes,
today. I love
absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
That story resonates with me a lot because I grew up reading African American Golfers Digest, and I had no idea.
What did you say? African American Golfers Digest?
Yeah, African American Golfers Digest.com.
There's no such thing, Jonathan.
Go to. Would you like me to share my screen?
No, Jonathan, you've done enough today already.
Go back to reading your email.
Yeah, go back to reading your email, Jonathan. You know, and don't get on the Reddit. And for God's sakes, don't get on the street slang site. We don't need any more of that today.
No.
We had enough of that last episode. I shouldn't have prompted him. Amber,
We
send
did
him a
have a
back
music
channel.
request for John. I don't remember what it was, but on
Oh, there was request.
there was one.
A word request.
Oh, I can't remember.
I'll see if I can find it for
Amber will
the
find it. Yeah, that'll heighten up. So topically, we don't have really a defined topic, you know, in terms of title, but it did get we got a very lovely video from Nathan,
Yeah.
who's sort of he's an OTA grad that specializes. Speaking of African American Golfers Digest, Nathan works with golfers. That's his niche.
I mean, that's what my plan was that segue.
Totally.
You clearly had no plan coming into this podcast, Jonathan. We know that.
Can I talk about that for a second though?
All I want you to do is talk about that.
We joke about how we don't prepare for this, but like, would you rather listen to a podcast from people who aren't really experts, who have to put in like a tremendous amount of planning and preparation, or would you rather be listening to a podcast from people who are so confident in what they know, where they still deliver really good information, where they know this stuff so deeply that they can actually just like spitball it? And I mean, we kind of joke, but like, there's something to that, right? Anyway, talk to me about Nathan and the American Black Golfers. Like, how is there possibly enough circulation for that magazine? Like, is that market? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know who it goes to.
Jewish guy from Canada. Like, clearly, I'm not their demographic. But like, what is their circulation?
I'm sure that it was born out of some type of exclusive behavior. Like when you look at things like that, the root of them usually is, we can't be in the regular Golfers Digest, so we'll make a different one. In any case,
I'm gonna speak amongst yourselves. I'm gonna try to find their advertising package and see what.
Do a little research there, Jonathan, because we could have a new sponsor for the. I'd love to say the Online Trainer Podcast, brought to you by the African American Golfers Digest. African American Golfers Digest. You know, two people that read it.
Legitimate thought here is we should sell like random ad spots and just like random companies let them put it in, right? And just be what happens.
Right. Just throw some out there. Throw some random endorsements out there. See if the company hears it. Maybe we can send them a clip. Maybe they'll send a check back. Who knows? It's basically how we got the first one. Jonathan was like, "Hey, doing a thing. It's going to be audio. You guys, you got some money?" They were like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you send me some?" And Tim was like, "Sure. Have some money. Do with it what you will." And Jonathan took that money and went straight to Mexico, like any good extortionist. So we sent them a bucket of suckers, and Jonathan took their money below the border. That's how we operate. That's how we do business here at the PTDC. What the hell was I talking about? So the title. So what happened to Nathan was, and he was wondering if this ever happened to anyone else as an OTA grad. Well, first he said that we phoned in that episode of the podcast, which he was absolutely right about. I can't remember what episode it was because we got this message like a month ago from him or something, maybe a month and a half. I just delayed in sending it because it requires some audio and video clipping. I'm far too lazy for that. But what happened to him was he's working with a client, seemed to be awesome. Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl again at 48 or whatever, however old he is. And then all the Tom Brady stories come out, right, about what he's doing and his physical regimen. So Nathan's client gets a hold of some article or something in an isolated context and starts asking about things like muscle pliability, whatever the terminology is associated with Tom Brady. And then, she starts kind of giving Nathan the business. Like, if you're an expert, you have me doing the muscle pliability like Tom Brady did, or, why aren't I doing these things? And so sort of the topic of our discussion is, I guess it's centered around adherence, right? Adherence to your program. But in a society that's an information overloading society, and there's all this data coming at you, particularly for me and Catalina and Amber's target demographic, because the industry will just not let up on women. Like, there's a new stupid thing every 30 seconds. Sometimes I don't even know what clients are talking about when they pitch things to me. Did you want to jump in there, Amber? It looks like you had something to say.
Wait,
There was a trend at one point where like you had to be able to like reach your arm behind your back and touch your belly button.
Sweet
and like,
Jesus.
if you couldn't do that, you were too fat. Like that was a thing for a while. That's still like.
Oh my God.
See, I've never even heard of that.
so that's super important, and I'm gonna let you finish. But
Kanye Goodman.
But the American Golfers Digest has a circulation of 20,000 readers
Really?
for their print magazine.
Really? I wonder how many they employ in their company. I'm thinking 20,000. That's the only
that
people
is-
reading that.
Give or take 19,985 more than I would have thought.
Same. Shout out to all the black golfers out there. Good
Okay,
job.
talk to. All right, finish with your really important.
No, Jonathan, I think we're all
Societal
riveted
commentary
by the circulation of the African American golfers. In any case, so I've run into things like I was introduced to thigh gap from a client. Didn't know what it was before. Never heard it. What's the other thing? There's something hip dip. Have you guys heard the hip dips? Like, so there's always some new, typically ridiculous. This one. Are you on the slang app again, Jonathan? Are you listening to music?
Oh, it's a hip dip.
Oh yeah,
Hip it
yeah,
in,
that's
dip
right.
it in, dip it in. Right?
Hip hop, you don't stop. You rock the bang bang boogity up jumps the rhythm of the boogity beat. So in this case, it seems like something that was plausible that Nathan's client brought up, but sort of the context of our show is, how do you handle that as a fitness professional when you're working with somebody? In most of these situations, what I've found is that what we're doing is actually working. It's not like the client's failing results wise, but they just got that shiny object syndrome, right? Yeah. And everything that they see, they want to try it. So now we can discuss amongst ourselves.
I actually do have something of substance to add to this whenever you guys are ready to hear from me, but I'm gonna let you.
Out of the way.
I'm
Say
gonna let y'all go.
Yeah. Good. You go ahead. You start, Jonathan.
No, this is on topic.
This might appease you for a minute. This
Intense.
Amber said, "Wow." She's amazed that you're about to say something on topic. But let us have it, Jonathan.
I know. I've written about it before, actually, because I've written about this experience before. I can't remember. It's in one of my books. Yeah, there's
One of the
them.
11
Not
books
sure if you knew.
that you've written.
Yeah, not sure if you knew. I think it was in Ignite the Fire. But one of my clients, I remember, she was in incredible shape. She was, had broken out for a long time. Everything was going well, and she walked in one day. I don't remember what magazine it was, but one of the popular magazines, right? And it was talking about Tracy Anderson. And she said, I really don't think that we should be lifting heavy weights.
Here we go.
And I lost her as a client. I wish that I could remember exactly how it went, but I basically got, from what I remember, I got defensive.
Right.
I started talking about why that was wrong, and I started to spout out, what I thought at the time was the science behind the thing, thinking that she would understand that, and of course, put the magazine by the side. What I did not appreciate was that one 22-year-old male personal trainer's opinion in a small boutique gym in Toronto unfortunately didn't outweigh one of the most popular magazines in the world talking about how this is some newfangled amazing thing that has been discovered.
Right.
I mean, there was nothing that I could have said. And so what I've written about this, and here's, what I'll say is that my belief, and you guys are welcome to challenge me on this. I really don't care. This is my opinion. You're not going to change it. But you guys are welcome to challenge me on this or give another opinion, and that's cool, is I actually don't think once it gets to the point where somebody brings something like that to you, I actually don't think there's anything that you can do other than appreciate it and use I know Brody has this thing where he basically accepts it and says, okay, would you like to try that? Let's do it as a test. Mm-hmm. But like they're actually, and I'll let you guys talk about that because you've been trained more in that method than I have. I actually don't think that there's anything that you can do because the combined power and clout that these publications have is way more than you ever will. No matter how much science you spout at it or anything, right? Doesn't matter. What I believe and what I started doing is that the one advantage that you as an individual trainer have over any of these publications is a personal relationship with your client. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know why they want to achieve what they want to achieve. You know all of their struggles. You know all of the things that they want to overcome. If you do a really good job communicating your program and why it's right for them, specifically them, and why they're training that way for their goals because of this, that, and the other thing, they won't bring that to you. Mm-hmm. But once they bring that to you, basically that's proof positive that you have not done a good enough job making it personal enough for them. And there's actually very little that you can do at that point. Like my belief is once it gets to that point, you've actually kind of lost the battle. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like when you get into a relationship with a new person, a new woman as a man, and she's already got kids and you've been together for a long time. When one of the kids says, "You ain't my real daddy," then you're probably not going to gain any influence over children.
It's like it's like one of those times where you're walking along a beach at 3 in the morning on an island in the Philippines, and a woman calls you over, and you say, "Oh, great, this is what I've been going for," and then she shows you her penis, and you're like, "This is not. There's nothing that I can do to change this." Like there's nothing that I can do to change this. I have many stories.
I do not condone or partake in this conversation.
Right, you can't.
So as you were talking, when I just checked my email again, and I just got a note that that the Online Trainer Academy is going to go live with Ace tomorrow at 2 p.m., which is great.
Oh, nice! That's awesome. That's exciting. Yeah. So basically, we've assessed that whether it's being a stepfather, whether it's a client bringing these concerns to you, or whether it's a woman along the road with penis, you're probably not going back from those situations. It's not.
I mean,
you're
we
not
don't know which gender pronoun she uses. To be fair,
well, I'm sorry. That's right. Where there's a person with a penis who may or may not be cisgendered or transgendered. In any case, that's a paradigm that you're probably not going to shift. And I sort of agree with that. But keto, this isn't the most awkward segue ever. I love to hear your perspective. I love to hear your perspective.
You both leave me out of your crap when you're done talking crap about
We're starting to scrape at the bottom of the travel stories is what's happening.
Hey, Jonathan is deep in the crate of travel stories right now. He's played all the good songs, and now he's in to just the B-sides are coming out, the B-side of the album. But seriously, Keto, I'm sure that you've had this experience because of the population that we both serve. What are your thoughts here about when a client comes to you and says, Keto, I love working with you, but I'm a little bit concerned. And we both have PN training as well. Mm-hmm. We both have precision nutrition training. So we've been taught sort of along the lines of what Jonathan was speaking about. But when they come to you say, Jillian Michaels said we shouldn't do that Bulgarian split squat.
Yeah.
And I just love her. Oh my gosh, her abs and her butt. They're so nice. I hope to look like that. Like, can we take the Bulgarian split squats out? I'm really concerned. She said it's going to cause my waist to get wider or whatever the thing
Right.
is. The opinionated and off misinformed Jillian Maya, but I digress there. So what's your thought process around this, kiddo?
So my thought process is always, first of all, I always give high praise for paying attention, like wanting to learn more,
Mm-hmm.
wanting, being curious about what's out there and what can work for. I'm like, good on you, because you're gaining awareness, you're becoming involved in your process, and that's always to be celebrated. And the moment that you celebrate that too, you immediately bring down their guard,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not, you're not fighting them off the gate, like, oh my god, why are you reading, what that dumb lady's saying, or whatever. Nothing like that. There's no resistance on your part, so they immediately feel heard, validated, like they did something good. It's like, oh, okay, this is nice, I feel
Mm-hmm.
good. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're open and receptive to listening to what you have to say. And what you had to say after really depends on uh, definitely your relationship with a client,
Mm-hmm.
but also on how I guess you're gonna know how hard you can push with certain clients, because you don't have to lose a client out of this, out of misinformation or a misunderstanding. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
That can actually be avoided. And yes, definitely the way that we are taught in PN level 2, which is, if a person wants to try something, that's what you're there for. That's good that they get to try it with you, because then you're there, you can supervise, you can be present for their process, and that alone is very valuable, and that is part of the coaching relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
now, a very important thing to remember, and particularly with women, this is super super important. Part of coaching women is remembering and understanding that women have complete and full autonomy
Mm-hmm.
over their body. They can do and not do with their body whatever the heck they want.
Mm-hmm.
So um, so in that scope, if I'm treating my client as the autonomous woman that she is, then I'm saying, like, if this is what you want to do, let's try and do it. Of course, there might be some situations that you feel that are legitimately dangerous for a person, like, for example, an extended period of like fasting, and then they want to be working out at the same time, and
Mm-hmm.
fasting for long periods is completely out of your scope of practice. Then you interfere with that, right? It's like, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with this because it is out of my scope. I can refer you to a dietitian, to a registered nutritionist who can guide you through that, because that feels like too much responsibility on me, and that's fine. But for the most part, if it's something that you can coach them through, it's a wonderful learning experience for both of you, because then you get to ask your client, for example, and this is a real example. One of my clients came to me and she's like, well, there's this tea detox that my friend did, and she lost 5 pounds in the first 3 days. And I'm here like, of course, it's water weight, like,
Right.
that. And I
Right.
could just say that to her, but she's not going to believe me. All that she sees is the 5 pound difference on the scale, and that means everything to them, right?
Right.
So my thing with her was like, if you really want to do it, I'd be happy to be kind of like part of your process. The only thing that I'm going to ask for you, I'm going to ask of you, is that you stay really connected with how
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling in your body in this
Mm-hmm.
process. And if you're starting to feel off, you need to note that and let me know. And sure enough, a couple, 2, 3 days later, she's like, yeah, the headache and the this. And I'm like, okay, so let's reevaluate. Is this being worth it? And she's like, no. And then that's it. She gave it up. And I never
Right.
lost the client, and nothing bad happened. And she got that out of her system, of the wanting to try and see what that was like. And it was okay. It was totally fine. And it's a growth process, but you have to be very flexible in how you um, become an inviting coach who opens this kind of conversations and then witnesses the process with them.
So first of all, that makes total sense from that perspective. So you got two methodologies here, well, and probably more. And Amber, I'm coming around to you, and I want a whiteboard explanation. Pick your favorite pastel off the board, and I need you to write as you talk, please. So you got a couple of options. Like, one is you can be sort of supportive, in a way that you protect the client as they endeavor into this thing, even if you think it might be a little batshit crazy. At least you're there and you
Mm-hmm.
support them. let her go ahead and have the diarrhea tea. Who cares if she poops out a Garmin watch? Whatever. You've got Jonathan's methodology was basically to rip the magazine out of their hand, ball it up, shoot it like a jump shot, yell Kobe for Kobe Bryant, and then mansplain to the woman why she shouldn't do that. And I'm kidding. But Kobe.
Like joking, not joking.
Right, joking, not joking. But seriously, I agree with Jonathan in the context that once they bring that to you, they probably made up their mind that they're going to give it a shot. Like Jonathan said, you're trying to change their mind is the worst path to go. Like, you're not going to do that. Probably not. Because, like Jonathan said, some super famous trainer person on the internet said something, and they're probably curious enough to give it a shot, right? But like Keto said, it's sort of using that PN precision nutrition sort of level 2 supportive methodology. Hey, you know what? It sounds really interesting. I think it's amazing how aware you are of what's going on in your body and what's going on with the current science. I'm willing to support you here. Let's give it a try. As long as you're not hurt by it, as long as it's not dangerous, we'll keep going with it. At any point you feel like it's something that's not working for you, we'll just shift back. We can always change in this direction. We can always move in the other direction. I'm interested to hear from Amber and her 32 pack of gel pens on this issue. Nobody needs a pink and a hot pink pen, by the way. Pink is fine. I don't get that.
Wrong.
You are wrong, sir. So Amber,
from this angle, your pens look like they take up about half of your whiteboard.
I mean, basically.
It's easily a third of the board. That's a really lovely whiteboard too. Is that framed?
It is. Yeah, it's wood frame.
See that you got a wood framed white, sweet Lord in heaven. She's got a wood framed whiteboard. You're 100% in, Amber. You're totally gone off the whiteboard. So, Amber, So just share us with us your experience. Have you been down this slippery slope with a client before? Or maybe the head of an organization that rhymes with CCTT, and you've had to talk him off the ledge about something that he was super excited about, and maybe send him into the corner so you can actually get some work done on version 4 of the Online Trainer Academy. Have you ever had that experience? Maybe with a leader type person, some might say a boss.
Really feel bad for whoever that person might be.
I mean, he sounds like a total jerk. I wouldn't want to work with that guy. But I'm curious. Seriously, I'm curious. Like, what is your experience in this area, my friend?
I mean, I don't think anybody can be a coach of some sort and not run into this. I mean, this is just part of it. I think because I can feel it happening already that there's going to be a bunch of coaches that are like, well, you just have to tell them, what to do. Mm-hmm. And you got to take your damn ego out of it, because that's the problem. And that's what's going to lose you clients. Our job is not to tell them what to do. Our relationship is collaborative. And so just like you guys were saying, like, if they're interested in it and it's not going to hurt them, let them get out of their system. But I think the really key thing to understand is when that happens, what you're hearing is not really the question, right? Like if they're saying, I saw this thing and I want to do it, that's not really what they're saying. There's an underlying message that you kind of have to look for. Kind of like when a client comes and like they want to cancel or ask for a refund. That's usually not really what's happening. They're saying, I need help in some way and I don't know how to ask for it. So to me, this is kind of the same thing. So we've missed something with that client if they're coming to us with this information. They're not feeling confident in their progress or something. And we need to address that along with whatever this new thing is that they want to try. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you just can't help yourself and feel the need to share, the science behind it or whatever, and chances are they're not going to care about the science behind it anyway. But if you just cannot help yourself, ask permission before sharing. If you can get them to say yes to you sharing the science behind it, it'll help kind of pull their guard down and be a little bit more receptive to it. But really, our job is to facilitate their journey. And if they want to take a side step, let's do it with them and keep them safe. And then, when it doesn't work out, we'll be there to help bring them back.
I love that. So, Jonathan, earlier on in the podcast, when you were awake, you mentioned something about the communication, right?
I've been awake this whole time.
Sure, Jonathan.
I've been going in and out of states of attention, but I've been awake this whole time.
The Nile ain't just a river in Egypt, Jonathan. So you're in and out of waking states, but one thing that you said when you were fully aware was sort of speaking to the communication that's open or not open with the client, right? So is it possible that some of what we experience in a client in this regard can happen on the front end of how we set the relationship? What I'm asking is, if we present to a client in a way that they feel like we are absolutely rigid in our methodology, is it much more likely that they'll bring something to us in the context of, I want to do this now, versus, hey, I heard about this thing. What are your thoughts on this as a coach? Let's explore it together. Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
To me, it's less about rigidity and more about just, they're coming to you because they want a personal approach, because they want somebody who's going to really listen to them and get to know them and take care of them. That's something that a magazine or a celebrity or whatever could never do. And so that's the biggest advantage you have. That's by far the biggest competitive advantage you have over something that has way more perceived credibility, social standing, whatever, clout, right? Than you have. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that advantage is really valuable. And so, your success or failure as a trainer, I think in large part comes down to how good of a job you can do in communicating the process to the client before and during. If they think that you're just giving them a workout, what's to stop them from just getting a workout somewhere else that's cheaper?
From somebody more famous.
From somebody more famous, from what's to stop them from thinking, the grass is greener, somewhere else. You've never gotten to know them. They've never gotten to know you. They have no confidence that what you're doing is actually specific for them, despite all of some nice sounding words, perhaps. And that's a real hurdle to get over. But that's why our job is about relationships, foremost. Because the fact of the matter is, I've said this before, I think that a computer algorithm can build an actual better program than 95 to 98% of personal trainers for most clients. But it doesn't really matter, because a good enough program for most clients is more than good enough as long as they do it. And what's going to get them to do it, what's going to get them to want to do it, is them thinking that it's really specific for them, right? Which is not a bad thing. It's like a sort of placebo effect, but placebo is not a bad thing. Placebo is a very powerful thing that helps you adhere to whatever you're doing. And we all know that the majority of people really, step one is to move. Step two is to think about, whether you're moving the right way. Obviously without pain. That's an oversimplified approach, but the reality of it is, step one is you got to do something consistently. A lot of people aren't even doing step one yet.
Right.
And that sucks. That's unfortunate.
It does. First of all, that was a much, much better answer than I anticipated. Let's just start there.
There's a wagon of coconuts beside me. You want to see it?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that wagon of coconuts is awesome, Jonathan. I can't really see it through the foliage, but you're back to normal now. Jonathan has moments of, and no disrespect to the community, I'm not saying this in any way to mock the community, but Jonathan
It's on the back of a bicycle. I think
Jonathan
somebody's
has
buying one.
periods of intellectual
He's
Tourette's.
cutting up the machete.
Every once in a while, Jonathan will blurt out something coherent and intelligent, and then he's right back to normal. I think we witnessed that today. As he adjusts his camera so we can see the coconut man. I don't know what's happening right now. Amber, please look at your mentor. He's off the rails. You'll definitely want to tune into the YouTube version of this one. I can assure you. That.
It's now. Thank you.
Man, so much. Please send me all the GIF options that you get. But that's well put, Jonathan. Whatever it was you said before you went back off the rails.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I gotta get some tacos though. Can we get out of here?
Sweet Lord. In any case, growing, evolving, and improving since 2013, the Online Trainer Academy is the world's first educational course for online training, and still the only program proven in the real world. You can boogie on over to the onlinetrainer.com/OTA website. We're ready to believe in you. So
a hip drop, a hip. Can you sing that for me?
From this episode, Ren, I am infinitely grateful to you because now I know, like, I'm gonna be like on my Facebook, like, who here wants to lose weight? Put up your hand, and they're gonna be like raising their hands, and they're gonna be like, now take that same hand and reach through your wallet and pay me $250 for my 6-week program, and you will lose weight.
Good.
So thank you for my next marketing strategy. Thank you.
I'm telling you, it's worked across African American Christianity for hundreds of years in the churches. So we've had a show here, and Nathan, I think we did not phone this one in. We gave you some value, buddy. So what I'm expecting, sir, is I'm expecting the same energy with which you provided the last Instagram story to me. I need that same energy for the good one. Okay? Yeah. Don't just come at me when it's off the rails, bro. Like I need some congratulatory video coming into my inbox within at least 6 hours of this podcast hitting 4 weeks from now. Or 2 weeks from now. I don't know why I said 4.
If anybody sees me on the street, I want you to come up to me and start singing the hip drop song. And when you do, I will give you an issue of African American Golfers Digest. Okay? So next time you see me in public.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Oh, in the annals of insanely poor choices for giveaways. This is by far.
But what if I'm Chinese? Do I get to read this? No, this magazine is not for you.
You're gonna get a stern staring at and a reply of what the bleep is this? Perhaps of what the bleep is this bleep.
Can you imagine if I'm just like on the subway in Toronto, just holding like a stack of those magazines?
It will cause a universal convergence that will immediately plummet our solar system into a black hole, into an anomaly. So, onlinetrainer.com/podcast. You heard it here first. Whatever we did today, I hope you enjoyed it. And we're just gonna come back and do it some more. So you better get used to it. You better start liking it. To which the little boy replied to me again, "You ain't my real daddy." Story for another time. We'll see you next time on the Online Trader Show. Jingle it up. Just jingle the hell out of this thing. Jingle it all the way.
Just stop this. Just somebody press the button.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.